Well, hello, everybody. What a night we are going to have tonight. I'm so excited. First off, welcome. Welcome to everyone who's joined. Welcome to, I think, Stephen Wagner, who was the first one in, Mike H.O. Trains, Roger Cook, Awesome America. Artie, are you back in Australia? Roger Cook. Who else? Frank Saladino, Tom Fafard. There are a lot of you in the chat, and you are in for a big treat tonight. So tonight is going to be a little bit different. This has been, I guess, what, two, almost 3 years of these mini prints monthlies, and we've had guests before. We've had multiple guests before, but this is going to be a crazy night. The first 15 minutes, actually the first 10 minutes, because we're almost at 7:05, is going to be the regular, me going through some of the things that are new at Mini Prints. Then around 7:15-ish, I'm going to bring on our first special guest, Dave Kruiswyk. And then at 7:30, I am going to place a phone call to Peabody, Massachusetts. And if the technology gods are willing, Mr. George Celios will join us, and we will have a conversation about the spectacular Franklin and South Manchester layout, which you just saw on that little video introduction. So as always, and if you thought I spoke quickly in the past, tonight is going to be a rocket ship fast. So the first thing that we always do, which will be no different tonight, is pick the beer. So let's start off by doing that right now, because that's always important. All right, so there we go. So the first off, we have a choice. Now, these are all beers I think that we have seen in the past, perhaps with the exception of Northmen. I know Group of Seasons Greetings, the Canadian Pub Ale, has been a previous beverage. I'm not sure whether the Oyster Stout was on last month. I think it might have been. The Henderson Belgian Amber Ale is delicious. And then, of course, the Northman Blonde Lager. So because time is of the essence, please tell me what I need to drink as quickly as humanly possible, and I will open it and we will get the show on the road. Tom, you would go for the Henderson. Well, guess what? The good news is they're all Hendersons. So I think we're safe there. All right. So far, Northman seems to be winning. Hello, model railroad citizens. Good evening to you. Northman. Okay, so it's the Northman. So I'm grabbing the Northman. It's a blonde lager. You kind of think it should be a dark beer with a label like that, right? All right. Northman wins. Let's move on. I will, of course, drink it and pour it. But while we do that, it's been a bit of a crazy week around here because I thought this weekend would be fun to basically rip out all my old printers and put in, I took out 6 old printers and I put in 8 new ones. So I've moved from the Mars 2 Pros, which really actually served me very well. And there was nothing wrong with them. But I thought, at the time had come for a bit of a tech upgrade. There they are, all sitting beautifully. They are working spectacularly. A few little things to iron out, but I'm very pleased. Much higher resolution printing. Cheers. And a really nice upgrade. So forgive me, a couple orders might be delayed a day or two, but we're catching up quickly, and I'm absolutely thrilled to have the new printers. A few sort of slides that I want to talk about before we get to our first major attraction, which is, of course, the Peanut Butter Lid Challenge, which we're going to get to just before we bring Dave on. I had to laugh when Hector Turner sent me this picture because Woodland Scenics was congratulating a mini prints customer, Robin Nickel, for winning the National Farm Toy Award Show this year. And congratulations to Robin. But the signature scene on his winning module is a beautiful northern river. And right there in the middle is the Mini Prints Lund Alaskan fishing boat with some Mini Prints figures. So that was kind of funny when I saw that, and also fantastic. So I want to congratulate Robin for his spectacular win. I've got more pictures of his award-winning module on the Facebook, the Mini Prints Facebook page. And that's really nice. The whole thing is built S scale, 1:64, which I've just been learning a little bit more about the farm modeling area, and it's all 64 scale. So that was kind of fun, both in terms of seeing Woodland Scenics post some Mini Prints products and also congratulating Robin. Hey, Hector, I was literally just mentioned your name. You're like Beetlejuice. If I say Hector 3 times, you show up. Hector Turner has entered the Peanut Butter Lid Contest, and you will see his work momentarily. And it is also spectacular. What else? Oh, yes. New mini prints. It has been a very busy month with new mini prints. So in the last 30 days, I was going through and trying to see, what I could show that was new. And there's a ton. The newest mini print that we've just come out with is this little tiny leprechaun who apparently stands somewhere in the range of 3 scale feet tall and is pot of gold. And that is being offered as a free gift to anyone who places a mini prints order over $20 US between now and St. Patrick's Day. So you might have seen the email go out, but it's available in N scale, HO, S, and O scale. I like to have a little bit of fun, and you'll see the dragon there that was last month's giveaway with order. This month, it's the leprechaun and the pot of gold. In the last month, we also introduced, besides the dragon, the ice machines, which come with the decals or the decals. The new home-sized gas meters, wagon wheels, which my wife was after me for years. She said, why don't you have wagon wheels? And it's funny because she's been asking for wagon wheels for like probably 2 years now. And I realized that when I was putting together the intro video, which if you didn't see it, you can go back and watch on replay. I was looking at one of George's farm scenes, and up against the barn is a wagon wheel. So I guess I'm a little late to the party for wagon wheels, but we have wagon wheels, fire hydrants, Vespa scooters, and I think this is rapidly becoming one of my favorite little mini prints. It's my least favorite to print, and no, it's not available in N scale, but I'm absolutely loving these little rats. And Mike H.O. Trains, who you see in the chat, has done some beautiful work with putting these little HO scale rats all around the dumpsters on his layout. So there are pictures of those on the Facebook page as well. In terms of other things, oh yes, barrels, casks. These are called ASB, American Standard Barrels, which is a very specific size of whiskey cask, which is, believe it or not, used to make American bourbon, which is a good thing. So we've come out with the ASBs. Oh, and Dave Kruiswyk is showing me he's in the basement. So Dave is right there, and he's got a bottle of bourbon that he's holding up to the camera. So that's a good thing. All right. So I'm seeing the behind the scenes here, and I think Dave's got a nice bourbon. I thought he had a beer, but I think he's got a bourbon that he's enjoying. So those are the ASBs. Interestingly, I'm playing around with a new painting technique, and I'm going to do a whole little something on the painting technique for these ASBs, because I'm really pleased with the fact that they are 3D printed, but the way they're painted, it really does look like aged wood. I was quite pleased with the way those turned out. And I think rounding things out, some kegs, because it was a gross oversight that I did not have beer kegs, and the lift, the beautiful scissor lift by JSK Miniatures, which, and here's a little bit of a tease, will be coming out in various sizes. So we've got a fully extended, a 1/3, and a 2/3 scissor lift that you will be seeing soon. But without any further ado, it's already 7:14. I'm glad that Dave is in the basement sipping his bourbon, because I'm going to be a little bit late. I want to share with you the entries from the Mini Prints Valentine's Day Mini Build Challenge. They are absolutely spectacular. Once again, I'm completely blown away. No, I want to go. How do I want to go? I want to go this way. Nope. Let me get the right orientation. All right, I'll go down there. They are absolutely spectacular entries. There are 5 entries this month. So in alphabetical order, and remember, it's a random draw. Everybody who enters is a winner. Hector Turner's entry. And I think I'll go full frame here. Hector did not give me a written description, but I think that we can pretty much see what's going on here. Looks to me like we've got a bit of a zombie apocalypse in the top of the peanut butter lid diorama. And then down below, safe in his 1950s nuclear bomb shelter, backyard bomb shelter, is Bruce, the agitated mail boy. And looks like the milk crates have been removed. And he is sitting there, safe and sound, while terror reigns above. I think that that you definitely win the award here, Hector, for the tallest mini print peanut butter lid challenge. So very, very, very nicely done. Okay, entry number 2. Lynn McCurdy. Lynn, I was chatting with Lynn earlier. I don't know whether I've seen him here. He should be in the chat. And if not, I'm sure he will join soon. Lynn McCurdy offered the following entry. Poor mini prints guy is holding on for dear life while no one notices except the turkey buzzard who's thinking, maybe a warm meal. It's kind of fun. It is beautiful. It is absolutely, I love this. Yeah, they're all beautiful. And here, obviously, he used the mini prints skull and the buzzard. And I think there are 3 mini print figures here. So this is, and maybe a mini print barrel. Quite a lovely entry. Nathan DeLay, who always puts in a great entry. The story goes with this one that someone wants to do a burnout but made a mistake by turning the car around, and he caught the gate on fire while the car was spinning in circles. And Nathan always manages to somehow come up with these amazing animations. So that's kind of cool. Stephen Schatz is our 4th entry. And I was really pleased, actually, to see that someone used the dragon. That was kind of a lot of fun. And the story here goes, and the well, actually. I think that it works so beautifully. The red dragon is protecting his rubies and diamonds, and he's keeping in an abandoned well. One poor soul, and you can see right in there is a skeleton, was unsuccessful in stealing the dragon's loot and ended up in the well with the rest of the jewels. So I think that's pretty awesome. And on this one, I love the way, and I'd never actually thought of this before, but the scenery goes all the way around the backside. I think that's just so clever. And last but not least, number 5, Tegan Murray. Thank you for your entry. These are all, and I'm going to throw Mike's comment up here because I agree with you, Mike. These are all very creative and nicely detailed. And the peanut butter lid is just so much fun. And I thank all 5 of you for entering. I know it takes time, but it's a real thrill for me to see these as well and share them with the community. So Tegan says, and I love this, here's my HO scale submission I made with my wife. So that's really cool. I love hearing stories of husband and wives that model together. Do you hear that, dear? We have to start modeling together. I'm sure you can recognize the number of mini print figures. It was a great test of our first plaster building and also the first mini print figures. So that is really, really awesome. Thank you, all 5. I'm going to go to the random number generator, which I always do. And I'm going to press the random number generator. GEN. Okay, here we go. Random generator. I'm going to type in 1 to 5. Lower limit 1, upper limit 5. I'm going to generate the number, and the lucky number is number 5. So let's see. So number 5 is, oh, fantastic. Whoops, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. So it's Tegan. Tegan, congratulations. I would post the random number generator, but the technology, the technology tonight is hanging on by a thread. I have got this. I'm doing a Heath. I don't know if you're still here, Heath. And Heath is on tonight, by the way, everyone, at 9 o'clock. So if we go late, you'll have to go straight to Heath. But I've got all sorts of wires going in, virtual wires, to try and get this phone call thing set up. So I'm not going to show you, but congratulations, Tegan. You get a $50 US Mini Prints gift card, and I will send it off to you in the next day or so. All right. Well, Dave, we're a little bit late, but I'm going to bring you in. So hang tight. Let me figure out how to do this. Let me go to this. There we go. And let me go down. And ladies and gentlemen, here's the man, Mr. Dave Kruiswyk. And this is what he looks like. And this is what he looks like.
Face for radio,
huh? You know what? I'm not one for big introductions because I could people are tired of hearing me speak. So how do we know each other?
Well, obviously through mini prints. I remember way back when you started out with that first beaver. And I think my first order was a bunch of beavers and maybe a satellite dish for the beaver dam. So don't ask me to put a date to that. You would know, but it goes back that far.
I think it's 2020.
Okay. All right. That sounds about right.
You were one of the very, very, very first early customers.
Oh, man.
And it took us this long to actually meet face to face.
I was going to say, finally, Dr. Mini is unmasked. I have to say, back then, 3D printing was around, but you really kind of broke out of the box. Everybody then was, as I recall, was doing 55-gallon drums and pallets. And when you started cranking out animals, I said, oh, man, this is awesome. And what you're doing now, scanning people, just incredible. You're a pioneer.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. And I'm amazed, actually. We could do an entire show about the evolution of 3D printing just in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that might actually be the next show because it is so different today.
Oh, it has revolutionized the hobby, among other things, but absolutely.
And I mean, not to give everyone a spoiler alert, but that's kind of one of the reasons why we're on tonight, isn't it?
It sure is.
I mean, it's wonderful to have you on. It's wonderful to have George on. But this has all really come about as a result of scanning George. And you were very instrumental in that. So before we do that, before we talk about that, because I don't want this to all be about Franklin and South Manchester, I would love to share pictures of what you've been up to and talk a little bit about your modeling journey.
Okay.
And I think, we've got a good 5-6 minutes before I sort of break the internet by trying to make the technology work. So let me I'm going to try and pop us back up here. And I think of you as a kit guy, as a sort of a fine scale miniature, kind of like a guy that likes making buildings.
Yeah, to me, the trains are really secondary. I've always been a structure and scenery guy. So my layout, which is in its infancy, it'll have some trains and some switching, but it's really just going to be to add animation to what is essentially going to be a big diorama.
Okay. And tell me, you sent me some fantastic pictures. Tell me a little bit. I mean, we'll sort of go through some of these buildings. Tell me a little bit about what they are, where they're going to go, what you're doing.
This is one of Doug Foscali's kits.
Fabulous.
Yeah, false scale models. I think it's called River Bend Chapel, if I remember right. And I thought it would be fun to put your Sasquatch in the back there. Little theological contrast going on there. So that was a lot of fun. Great kit, wonderful little figure. And the first mini prints to end up on George's layout.
Yes, that's right. You did put a Sasquatch or Bigfoot on the FSM, and I could not find it.
We got you there.
You got me there. It was like I was looking for a good 10 minutes. You really hit him well.
Well, actually, George placed him. I painted it and brought it to George along with some other items, and George planted it. So he gets the credit for putting it. I suggested right across the gully from a figure that he already had in place that looked like a bird watcher with binoculars. So he took my suggestion, and that's where he put it. But it's kind of fun that you have to hunt for it a little bit because that catches the whole Sasquatch vibe.
I get the feeling from looking at the layout that he's got a pretty good sense of humor.
Oh, very much so. You walk around there and you'll see all kinds of things juxtaposed, taverns next to Salvation Army, funny signs, Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, we'll have to ask him about that. Quick story about Doug Foscali. I've never met him. I'm dying to meet him because he's also a customer. And I was supposed to scan him at Springfield, but unfortunately, because of family reasons, he couldn't make it, which was quite unfortunate. The reasons, obviously. I would love to meet him because he owns a horse and a donkey, and my wife owns a horse. And I'm dying to get a donkey. I just think that would be a wonderful thing. So Doug I want to talk to him all about donkeys.
Yeah, Doug has Diesel. Diesel is his donkey. Yeah. Diesel is kind of the official Fuss Scale Models mascot. And Doug told me yesterday that he just ordered a whole bunch of mini prints rats for his New York City layout.
He did, yes. And I'm dying to meet the man. I'm absolutely dying to meet him because I absolutely love his work. And I think the two of us would get along quite well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So what are we looking at here?
On the left is one of Jason Jensen Trains' latest HO releases, Smith Lock and Key.
Wonderful.
And on the right is one from Jeff Grove of Carolina Craftsman Kits. For a number of years, I did test builds and wrote instructions for Jeff's kits. And this was one that I took a little artistic license and beat up a little bit and exposed some of the some rafters there. And so, yeah, that's one of Jeff's, CCK.
Amazing. Yeah, and I just want to pull up Stephen's comment here because that's very kind of you to say, Stephen. And I love the fact, I love manufacturers, especially small independent manufacturers, when we all support each other. You know, there's a really nice group of people that build each other up. And that's very much appreciated. So thank you both for that comment, Stephen, and thank you, Doug, who I'm dying to meet, for mentioning that.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. If you go to a train show, whether it's Springfield or the old Craftsman or the Model Railroad Expo that they used to host, you'd think these guys were all very competitive, and then you go into the lounge in the evening, and they're all together at the same booth, you know, sharing stories. So it's a neat community.
I just got a text from Heath.
Uh-oh.
I don't know why you didn't put this on. Okay, I'm going to read this. So my phone just binged. Heath Hurwitz. Holly says that she has a horse and a donkey as well, but she used a different word for donkey, and I think she was referring to you. I think that's very accurate, Heath. All right. So I see it's 7:30. We should make a phone call pretty soon.
Okay.
But before we do, tell me a little bit about this, because I think you have a love of signage.
Oh my gosh, I love vintage signs, and it doesn't matter if they're out of the period as long as they're reasonably close. But yes, I love signs. So what you have on the right there, that was a contest entry I did for the Wileys. It was a Halloween contest. I think I had about 17 or 18 mini prints in there. And here's one of your ravens on top of the Route 666 diner.
It looks like you also have a pretty wicked sense of humor.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's either that or die, right? So,
Yeah.
especially these days.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Doug Pascali gets the credit for the signs on the left there. That's one of his kits that I incorporated into a diorama. So those were all signs that he printed as one, like that sidewall is all one sheet. So he gets the credit for those signs there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I've entered in. Hang on. I don't want to do that. I've entered in invite with messages. No, cancel. Hang on. I'm multitasking here. Okay. So I'm about to call. So so I'm just setting up the call while we did this. All right. And let's see. I'm not good with tech. I'm gonna show you these, but then we're gonna go to this. We're gonna talk briefly about. So, what is the plan? You've got all of these. So So I got to do multiple things at once. Heath can't believe what Allison loved it. Okay, Heath says I can't believe I read it on air, but he was trying to behave. Well, I busted Heath. Does anyone actually think that Heath would behave? No. Tell me what the plan is, because you have a lot of buildings.
Well, as I said, I'm primarily a structure and scenery guy. Okay. And the layout, as it were, is in its infancy. I've been building structure kits for probably a little over 15 years, but I never had a place for a layout.
Sure.
And then we moved into this new house about little over a year ago. And then we needed a couple of months to finish the basement. And then I had knee surgery. And so it's just now that I'm finally able to devote my my retirement days, to the layout. So this is actually a row of background buildings that is about 2.5 feet above the main level of the layout and about 4.5 feet back from the aisle. So I'm breaking the rules here by having a very, very deep layout. But I have a topside creeper that I'm now able to navigate after the knee has recuperated enough. And so I'm having to work my way from back to front. So I'm finally at the point here where I've gotten my background structures up there. And now I can start working my way down toward the next level down. So those are almost all background flats, various manufacturers.
This segues into, and I'm going to call George now because I don't want him to be sitting by the phone and waiting too long. But when we get him on, maybe we can talk a little bit about the intersection of you and George and the Franklin South Manchester Railroad. So I am going to try and make a phone call now. It's either going to work or it's not. Bear with me for a minute, and we will see if technology actually works here. Hear the phone ring.
Connected using Wi-Fi calling. Standard long distance rates will apply.
Hopefully everyone can hear that ringing.
Hello.
There's George.
And Dave.
Yeah.
Hi, Matt. How are you? Hi, Dave.
Hey, George.
Hello.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, very clear.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Now, I'm not sure whether Dave's audio is going through. I'm trying some new tech stuff, and hopefully this will work for everybody. So I'm just, my wife is telling me that the sound is good. So that's wonderful.
Okay. Well, I can hear you clearly. I just want to ask you one question. Is Bernard your first name or your last? Because I have a friend, Frank Bernard, and I was just wondering.
It's my first name.
Okay. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, Dave, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so you can, okay, so I can hear you, but you're not coming through on the audio. So we'll just have to figure out how you get your questions in. But okay, well, thank you so much for joining us. We've got a lot of people on the Facebook and YouTube right now that are absolutely thrilled to talk to you.
Well, I'm here, so shoot.
I'm going to figure out how I can get Dave into the conversation.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that, Dave, but we'll figure it out. I was so thrilled to visit your layout when we were in Springfield. Thank you so much for opening it up. And it was the first time that I'd seen a layout that I had heard so much about.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
Thanks for coming.
Nobody can prepare you. I mean, everything people said was true. And it was, I mean, I looked at the video that I took from the layout and realized that there's just so much to look at.
Well, I guess when you're up there, you know, all day, you got to find stuff to do. So I just keep adding detail, and that's how it gets that way.
It was absolutely spectacular, and I'm so thrilled to have you on.
Thank you.
Trying to figure out, Dave, you're going to have to sort of put questions or comments in the chat. What I was going to ask Dave was, because Dave is really the person who sort of introduced us, maybe you can tell me a little bit about how in the world Dave convinced you to put together this wonderful Franklin and South Manchester Railroad Facebook group.
Well, Bernard, it's like this. I would, like I said a minute ago, I would spend a lot of time at the shop, you know, doing detail stuff and working on certain scenes. And, you know, I'd finish it and nobody around to see him. So, you know, the magazines weren't that interested. If they did, they do it every few years or so. So every time I did a new scene, and when Dave told me about this Facebook thing, I said, that'd be great. I'd be able to show all my new work all the time. So that's what convinced me, really, just to show off, you know, what I've been doing every day, as a matter of fact.
And how long has the group been up?
What is it now? Is it 2 or 3, 4? I don't even know. I don't even remember. A few years, I guess.
Dave is saying 2 years. Well, there are
2 years.
11,000 members of the Franklin and
Oh,
South
my.
Manchester Railroad Facebook group. And every day there seems to be some fantastic activity of people sharing posts. So that's a lot of inspiration that you have inspired so many people with this wonderful Facebook group.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I wanted to chat with you today, I mean, I've got many questions for you, but I understand that you received a delivery from Dave within the last week.
Yes. Thank you so much. The figures are beautiful. Yeah, I use them all.
So Dave painted, I'll show some pictures of them in a little while to the people watching. What does it, after these years of building your layout, what does it feel like to have you actually on your own layout?
Well, I don't know. I'm honored to tell you the truth, but you know, just I got so many figures on the layout now, they just sort of blend in, so I can't walk around and tell people that's me. So.
Have you put yourself in any specific places that you can share, or are you going to let people find them?
Well, my first open house is April 20th, and I just finished a small scene down by the waterfront in back of my lighthouse there, and I put me right next to it. So, you know, as soon as that's photographed, that'll appear on Dave's thing.
fantastic. And I think Dave is going to that actual thing. Dave, I
Yeah.
got to figure out how I can get you back in the comments here, but we'll figure it out. So, how did Dave paint you?
Say again?
How did Dave paint you? What style did
Oh,
he
it
paint
was
you?
beautiful. Beautiful colors. Yeah, the regular gray pants, a blue top, blue shirt. It was very well done, and the figures are beautiful. I mean, the detail is incredible. I mean, even the folds of the pants are there. It's really, really unbelievable.
It's amazing that the detail the scanners pick up.
Yeah, it really is. Like I said, the facial details and everything, it's just incredible. I wish I didn't have so many prizer figures on my lap. I'd be going over to that type of figure.
Well, we can definitely send you some more 3D printed figures. Now, Dave, people are telling me they can hear you. So do you want to ask a question? We'll see if maybe it's just me that's not getting the audio.
Oh, testing. How's that? Is my audio coming through? We'll wait and see if people
can't hear him. Okay, no, I can't hear him either.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Let me try.
That's okay.
I think the way I've wired this, everyone can hear him except you and I. Yeah, so the audience hears him loud and clear. Dave, give us another audio level for a second.
All right. Testing 1, 2, 3, 7 years ago.
Okay, here we go. I know what to do. Bear with me for a second, George. I'm known for my lack of my technical ability. Okay, give us another test there, Dave.
Okay, how are we doing now? 1, 2, 3, 4, testing.
Yeah, you're very, very, very quiet. So I think everyone.
Can you get the questions off of Dave and give them to me?
Yeah, exactly. So the good news is everyone can hear him except you and I. So the audience can hear him speak, and then I've got a lot to learn about computers and technology. But
me too.
Three.
I use technology for a living, says he. And Dave's actually going to type some questions too, so that'll be great. And then the audience will be able to hear him. It's not a mini prints broadcast without its technical challenges.
Okay.
But I have a question for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
The Franklin of South Manchester has inspired countless model railroaders around the world.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about its impact on the hobby community?
Well, first of all, I never expected my layout to turn out the way it did. I mean, I'm glad I own the building there and I don't have to, put up with any landlord or anything. And like I said, I just kept adding and kept getting bigger, and people have been coming from all over the world to see it. And I'm just honored. It's I never expected for it to be this popular. I just always loved trains as long as I can remember. And modeling, I love making miniatures, and it just, I guess it evolved like that. So I'm kind of excited over it, and I'm there almost every day, and I stare at it, and I say, "Gosh, I can't believe I created this." I hope the public is being blessed by it, because I know a lot of people get ideas of it, and that was another one of my goals, to really promote the hobby. It's been well, they say everybody's getting older, but I think there's a few, maybe a lot of young people coming into it, and if they see that kind of modeling, they probably get involved in the hobby. So that's what I can say about it.
How many people do you figure have come through over the years?
Oh gosh, I'd be guessing. I mean, I've had some groups. I had one group that was 159 people came through. Which is not a good idea. You can't move. And there's been thousands. They've been from all over: New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, China. They even had a couple of Greeks there, like me. And but I have no idea of count. I don't keep any count or anything.
Well, I'm seriously considering, my wife doesn't know this yet, so she'll hear this for the first time, but I'm seriously considering coming down again in April. I'd love to meet Dave because I've never met him face to face. And I'm actually, having seen the layout for the few hours that I did see it, I realize I just want to go back and look at it and really, you can't absorb it all in one sitting.
Okay. Well,
Dave,
you better come down, Bernard, because it was fun meeting you. I remember you very well, and we had some fun there.
we did. Dave is
Yes.
asking me a question to ask you. Besides the lighthouse, George, any clues as to where people should look for you in April?
Tell you the truth, I don't remember now where I put them all. All I can remember is just the one I put over the new area I just finished. Let's see what else. Well, they're around. I can find them easily. I just have to. Should have made notes on that one.
All right. Well, maybe I'll come down in April and we'll all sort of do a find the George on the layout.
There you go.
So
George will be there.
all right. That's right. Prototypical 1-to-1 scale as well as model.
Yes.
I don't want to keep you too long, but may I ask some more questions?
Sure. Go ahead.
You are known for the level of detail and realism on your layout.
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you have for model railroaders looking to incorporate similar levels of detail and realism?
Well, a lot of modelers know the story. I started off, when I was with Lionel and American Flyer. I, got my first toy trains, and I was making buildings out of, I think it was some kind of box, cigar boxes, I believe. And they were very crude, but I thought they were good. But I just keep working at it and, just do a little area at a time and, detail it completely. And don't over detail. I know I've been accused of that many times, but adding too much detail. But, I think I told Dave Kruiswyk this, that if I try to copy prototype scenes exactly, I don't think I'd have many visitors. So I try to spruce it up a lot, and you gotta know when to stop and when and how much to add. So that's about all I can say about it. Just keep at it. And, weathering is another thing I didn't know much about, but thank God for John Allen way back in the 50s when he started doing articles on how to weather, and I just fell for that right away, and I was weathering everything I could get my hands on, and that's another thing that really makes the scene more realistic. Some people have actually accused my layout of being too over weathered, but I told Dave this, that if I ever stuck a bright red brick building in the middle of that, it would stick out like a sore thumb. So I tone everything down and don't over weather it. That's another thing. You don't want to overdo it. So that's what I suggest to them.
We have a question from Dan Pugach, who I believe is going to be there in April, and he asks if you use photos, real life reference photos, or do you do it from memory and imagination?
As far as structures go, I've copied very few prototype buildings. Probably just 2 or 3 on the layout, but it's all imagination. I usually sit down and start sketching what I want to do, and the amount of area I have of the footprint, and how big the building, how tall the building will be, and it's usually all from imagination. I just dream everything up as I go. So,
I have another question here from Matt, and he's asking, when you first built your layout, which came first, the track or the buildings?
The track.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to do the track first. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing, by the way, that I really love. I love track work. I mean, if you looked at my photos, you'd see how straight the tracks are, and how well the trains run. I really go all out for good track work.
And
Structures are first, and then I love track work, and then scenery. That's how my order.
And I'm showing pictures of your layout while you're speaking, so people can see just the spectacular track work. And I've got a picture of the roundhouse up right now, which is one of my favorite scenes. Just beautiful.
Yeah, one other thing, Bernard, I use mostly code 70 rail.
Okay.
And code 55, and just to let people know that, let's say trains won't run as good on code 70, and I'm talking about HO scale, but they do. If you got good running locomotives, code 70 is just as good as the other rail sizes.
Looking back on the years that you've spent building the F and SM, because it started in, was it 85?
85, yeah.
So looking back on the years of building, what would you say you're most proud of?
Probably how quick it was built. I mean, I was doing fine scale miniature kits. It'd take me 9 months out of the year, and I wouldn't touch the layout. It would be covered completely, and I wouldn't touch it until the kits were actually shipped to distributors and dealers. And if you figure it out, 3 months out of each year isn't very much, so it probably comes out to about 15 years of work. So probably the speed it was built.
Now, is this something you did yourself, or did you have a crew? I know some people are lone wolves, and some people have a bunch of pals that come over and they have sort of track laying parties. What's your approach?
Well, I did all the track work, all the bench work, all the track work, and adding feeders and all that. But I've had help with wiring. I've had my friend Tommy Driggers and others help me with the wiring because when you try to do some of those turnouts yourself, you got to have one fellow on top and one underneath. So I've had help with that, and I've got about 8 or 9 structures that others have built for me on the layout too. But I've done everything else myself. All the scenery is my own, and so I did just about most of it.
Well, people are certainly loving the pictures.
No,
what would
good.
you have done differently if you were going to start over?
Nothing. Plain and simple.
Good.
I love urban modeling. When I started the layout, I had scenery down to the floor, and I was planning it all around the back, just like John Allen did. But after a while, I said, trains running through mountains is nice, but I don't know. And I was big on, believe it or not, operation back then. I had spur tracks going to industries, because I used to study a lot of Frank Ellison's tips on operation. And I just love the way he wrote. And I was big on operation, but I still like to run my trains, but I'm no big operator. I love to build. That's my love in the hobby. And it gives me probably as much joy as it does anybody that's big in operating. Usually the guys that are big in operating don't think much of the guys that build, like to just build, but it's fun both ways.
So Jason,
my view on it.
Jason Jensen is here on the broadcast, and he says hello. And he has a question.
Hi, Jason.
He has a question for you. And he says, does George regret putting his layout on the second floor of a building?
I had no choice. I bought the building in 1978, I think. Well, I moved there in 1970 at 49 Main Street, and I was paying rent upstairs. And then I purchased the building in I think it was 78. And I had no choice. I had 3 tenants downstairs, so I have no regrets for being upstairs. It's more peaceful too. Nobody comes in off the street. You know, it's I like it. I just lock the door and go to work upstairs.
Well, that's a perfect segue too. I've got two more questions for you. And I mean,
Okay.
I'm sure I could go all night, but but the two questions I wrote down, what are the expansions? What are the projects you're currently working on? I know when we were there in January, I believe you had just finished extending the area around the curved trestle.
Yeah, I just did some work last week on that area. I added a tunnel on that road that's right below the trestle. You probably remember that little country road that goes into a tunnel now. And I added another, like I said, another structure down by the waterfront, and that came out really nice. And I'm doing a lot of little things. I was building telltales today. I'm doing a lot of little things here and there. And cleaning up. I like to always, keep everything clean as possible.
Yeah.
Doing dusting and, using a vacuum here and there.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Well, the last question I've got, and this is, and I listened to the broadcast you did with Wiley's about 5 years ago, the bench time, and that was fun. That was really a great to listen. And they talked a lot about the hows and really the structure kits and what you do. I'm interested in the hobby of model railroading, how you see it evolving. What do you think the future of model railroading entails? And the second part of the question is, what role do you think that your layout, the Franklin and South Manchester, will play in its future?
Well, first of all, I like to mention that the equipment that's out there now, the rolling stock and the locomotives that are coming out, are unbelievable. I mean, if that stuff wasn't even unheard of when I started way back in the 50s and 60s. That's when my first kit came out. But everything has just gotten so much better. And I mean, I love the hobby more than ever now. I mean, I thought I would, some people get a little, tired of it, but I just love it. I wish I had more room to do more stuff up there to expand the layout more, but I don't. But all I can say is I hope the hobby is, attracting people. Like I said earlier, I see a lot of young people coming up to see the layout now. So I guess we just have to wait and see what happens. It's a wonderful hobby. I think it's, I'm not saying this, I mean, I still think it's the greatest hobby in the world. It gives so much satisfaction to you. And you got so much to do. I mean, you name it. I mean, carpentry, wiring, scenery, structures, everything, and it's a great hobby. So it is definitely the greatest hobby in the world.
Completely agree.
Yes.
Well, Jason Jensen has just commented the hobby is growing strong. So I agree.
Great.
That is absolutely 100%. Well, you are an inspiration. I cannot wait to see it again. This time I'm going to just park myself in one spot and just stare at each individual element for 10, 15 minutes. I was so overwhelmed the first time. I look forward to seeing you again, finding you on your layout, all the places you've hidden yourself.
Okay.
And I want to share a few comments here. Frank Saladino has said the hobby is where it is because of people like George.
Thank you.
So
thank you, Frank.
That is absolutely 100% true. And Dave is giving a thumbs up in the background.
Oh, that's good.
Dave, are there any comments, any questions for George before I let him get on with his evening? Well, thank you so much, George. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It was an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed your figures.
Yes, I did.
And Dan says that he is going to be coming in April for a 6th visit, and that he too was overwhelmed the first time. So I guess you need 6 visits to absorb all of the brilliance of the layout.
Okay. Very good. I hope you can make it, Bernard, and your wife too.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Have a great night. Thanks for talking with us.
Okay. You also. Thank you, Bernard. Take
Okay.
care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. Are you there, Dave?
I sure am.
All right. Good. Sorry about the tech there.
No,
Hopefully
we got George on. That was the important thing.
he's so inspiring. I mean,
Yeah, and he really, you know, it just goes to show a layout is never done. He works on that thing every day of the week. You know, he goes in Monday through Friday, first thing in the morning, and he's always tweaking something, adding something.
well, I'm laughing too because he's like saying all the same things that all of us mere mortals say. Like, I wish I had more space, and you know.
Always.
All right. Let people know, when are the dates? Are they posted on the Facebook page, or
They're pinned in the what do they call it on Facebook?
well, I can probably bring it up. Hang on. Let me see what I can do here. Let me show people the group if they're not
there
familiar
you
with
go. Yeah.
and then, you know, I typically like to keep it to, you know, not too much more than an hour so that people can, you know, get on. But, you know, we can go a little bit longer if people have thoughts or questions.
The dates are in the featured pull down. It's the first item under featured on the
Okay,
page.
so I'm going to go to Facebook right now. And I'm going to go to the, so while I'm doing this, how in the world was this your idea to get this page up and running, or?
It really was. Compared to most people in the hobby, I'm actually fairly a latecomer to George and his layout. I never saw it until 2017. And
Okay.
then with the exception of COVID, I went every year, if not twice, depending on the budget. And I just felt that this layout, you know, George at the time was concerned that it was kind of being forgotten by the hobby. And my first thought was a website, and I'm about as tech challenged as you or George are. So then
oh God, the three of us on a broadcast. It's a miracle we're still on the air.
So then my next thought was a Facebook page with just a daily photo from the layout, and it just kind of took off from there. George was actually reluctant at first. You know, he didn't know me that well, and you know, thought, well, what's in it for me? And I convinced him that no, I just want to keep your work out there and introduce it to new generations of modelers, and it has just taken off. It's you gave the numbers previously, and it's very gratifying.
11,200 members.
Right. And we've got more people now contributing photographs, so it's not entirely reliant on me. I can only take so many per visit, and if I only go once a year, well, you run out of photos pretty quickly. So it's a neat page. Every morning, 3:30 a.m. Eastern time, we post the photo of the day, and then we've got some other folks, you know, like Brett and Donald that are posting photos of their own. So that helps fill things out. And it's interesting. Everybody sees the layout differently, and that those differences in perception come through in people's pictures. So it's, even if the same scene is being taken, somebody will catch it from a slightly different angle, and it offers a whole new perspective.
So here's I'm going to share with you. I'm going to pick up on that point and share with you the pictures that I took, because I showed the video at the front there. Every single picture I took was like this.
Yeah,
it was just. There was so much to look at that it was frenetic. It was a blur. I think every picture is just like me going from one thing to the next thing because there was just so much to look at. And that's really why I want to go back. And let me find the pinned post here. because I want people, including myself, to realize what the dates are. So featured, diagram,
And
invite, share, joined, discussion. I don't know why I'm not seeing the pins.
yeah, it shows up as the first item on my cell phone here.
Related groups, learn more, recent media.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am just going to go ahead and repost it as a regular old post.
That's a great, yeah. You
and
can't
then you
post that too many times.
And then you can see it right there. And
Yeah,
boom, it should be
Featured,
posted.
members, media, discussion. Let me do a
Might take a moment for it to arrive, so to speak.
Oh, I see something that says featured here. Oh, featured.
Featured,
There
yes.
we go.
There it is. There it is. The big
There
red
it is. Okay. So we've got 2024 open houses. January, April 20th. May 18th. So it's every month. Is that correct?
It's every month from April through October. And then he will often open on the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. And then, as you know, he will also try to open in conjunction with the Amherst show.
Yeah. So this Jennifer, April 20th, that's the one you're going to.
Correct. Got my flight booked, my hotel. I'm good to go.
Okay. So I got to figure out it's a mere, I think it was a 10-hour drive from here. So I'm going to, I messaged you in August because the wife and kids and I, my wife's parents have a place in New Brunswick, and we were en route from New Brunswick back to Toronto. And the fastest, most interesting route was through Salem.
Yes, right next door.
So I'd never been to Salem before. We had a ball in Salem.
Just don't go in October.
No.
It is crazy in October.
Well, we loved, where else in North America other than Quebec City do you see 400-year-old, 500-year-old houses?
It's a beautiful town, and some of the neighborhoods to walk and the old cemeteries. It's wonderful.
Just brilliant. We did it all. We did the ghost walks, and we did all of the New Brunswick, the province in Canada, Heath. Hector Turner is also, Hector's booked in October.
Oh, good for him. Just get that hotel booked early because it fills with all the witch people. Yeah,
really. Now, that's a good point. So you and I'll have to talk offline about where people are staying in April. And I'll have to find out from the wife whether or not that is something that I can do. But April 20th, what day is that?
It's a Saturday. It's always a Saturday morning from 9 to noon. And then a bunch of us go up the block to the Italian place and have lunch and just talk trains. And then usually that evening, I'd take a ride to Gloucester for some real seafood, which is hard to get in Chicago.
Ooh, and I'll have my car.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, lobster roll.
So yeah, exactly. Nothing to declare. Nothing to do. All right. Well, this is, I don't know if my wife is still watching, but I'll have to check the calendar, see what April 20th brings. But I would love to meet you in person. I feel like, as fantastic as this was, I feel like I would like to have you on to talk much more about your philosophies of modeling.
Yeah, I would love it. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, you just got the green light.
I'm glad she said you can go and not just go.
Your CFO and my CFO gave the green light.
Yes, exactly. I just want to make sure that that we haven't double booked any social engagements or family gatherings or anything. But yeah, no, that would be fun. I remember, I believe, was it did we do? Yeah, we did Salem to Toronto in one drive. It was a long drive, but it's doable.
Yeah. I usually get in Friday afternoon at Logan rent a car, and
Yeah.
just kind of wander around and enjoy the sights. It's a nice part of the country.
Now, do you refer to it as Peabody or Peabody?
No, it's Peabody. In fact, I have a T-shirt that I often wear to George's that says it's pronounced Peabody.
But it's spelled Peabody.
Correct. Correct.
Peabody. All right, got it. So this is so I'm going to need to practice or get a T-shirt. Okay, I got it. So I'm just typing up the driving directions right now. So from my location, oh, that's nothing. 8 hours and 49 minutes. I can do that.
Oh, sure, you can do that. You know, it's funny. My first visit to George's was similar. My wife and I were looking for a vacation, and we had never been to New England, so we flew into Maine, and then drove down the coast, staying at B&Bs along the way, and we timed it so that we would end up in Peabody for one of George's open houses, and that was my first visit. So, yeah, incorporate a vacation if you can. It's wonderful.
So we'll wrap up soon, but just back to, because I think I felt like we took a left turn here. The Facebook, you convinced George. He was hesitant.
He was a little hesitant. He said no at first, and then a couple days went by, and he changed his mind. So I'm grateful.
And tell me, because this has got to be a lot of work for you. This is no, I mean, I know that even just sort of, you know, the mini prints modelers Facebook group, you got to sort of keep on top of it. Tell me some of the stories along, you know, why you do it, how you do it. I mean, it must be very gratifying. You must have inspired people.
Yeah, I hope so. It does take policing, you know, in this world. Spam, watching out for spam is a task. I've got a total of 3 admins and a moderator, so we all do a pretty good job of heading off spammers. And it's you know, the toughest thing is just making sure I've got fresh photographs to post. Until people like Brett and Don and Robert came through with their own photographs, I was having to delve into the archives and reuse pictures of my own. So now that we're getting some help in the way of content, that helps a lot. One would think that, you know, pictures of the same layout, how can you possibly not duplicate? But you know the size of that place. There are so many possible angles and close-ups and wide angles and panoramics. Most of the comments I get are that people say they never get tired of waking up and seeing that daily photo.
Well, Dawn is certainly sort of saying here that you do a great job. So you have fans.
Donald is one of our biggest photo contributors, so I'm very grateful, and he does some great work. In fact, he's really good at taking a picture, and then after a picture has appeared, I put it in the archives, which is divided up by section of the layout. And every now and then,
there's one right there.
Yeah, every now and then, Don will post one, and Dan Raymond is another good one for this, where I will look at that thing and I cannot place it on the layout, so I will go back and I'll look at some of the videos online, and there have been occasions where it took me a good week before, there it is. And then I knew which file to put it in.
Well, I never, ever, I mean, I hear what you're saying, because I never would have found the mini print on the layout if you hadn't, you know, to the left, I mean, to the left, wait, stop, forward, you know, it was like,
that was fun.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, a lot of the people here watching are familiar with the layout. But I usually get like 300 or 400 people watching on the replay. And I'll bet you that there are going to be some people that are new to the Franklin South Manchester, because I, like you, wouldn't have known this layout 5 years ago.
Right. There's no doubt that I do know for a fact that George's open house attendance has really, I don't want to say skyrocketed, but it has done very, very well just since the Facebook page went up. So, and that was the whole point. Keep the layout alive, introduce it to new people, and keep it relevant. And I think we've done that.
And he really is the ultimate original super detailer. I mean, this was all done before the advent of 3D printing. I mean, right now it's no big deal for someone, like me to just draw a barrel, print out a barrel and pop it on my layout. But it was a different environment, a different beast,
And
20,
and
30
he did
years
and
ago.
he did not have Scenic Express.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there is a craftsmanship besides the artistry. And I'm sorry, but well, I'm not sorry, but this is art. This is pure art. This is fine art, as far
Absolutely. Absolutely.
it's storytelling, it's humor, it's fine art, it's craftsmanship, there's so many things happening at the same time, but it's art. And the way that he's done it, the thing I think that struck me, and I didn't want to gush to George when George was on, because everybody does that, I'm sure, but the multi-dimensional layered, the depth of everything, everything that just goes on forever. It goes up forever. It goes in forever. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
And what really astounds me is that this thing was built over a period of 30, 40 years, and yet every section blends seamlessly. It's as if it was all done at one time. You cannot see any scenic or color demarcation from a scene that was done in 1990 to one that was done, 5 years ago. It's just seamless. It's beautiful.
I don't think there are very many railroads that exist today of the caliber of this railroad that you could go see. There are probably a few historical railroads. I mean, like the Gory and Defeated, that if we could sort of go back to 1954 and, see some of the pioneers, but this really is, and I mean, I'm saying this and putting this up from Bob at the same time. This is the must-see layout.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as you said, people come away just awed because pictures don't do it justice.
No. And I mean, I'm looking at all these pictures now, and I don't remember seeing any of this.
Yeah, you definitely need to go back multiple times. You cannot go for a 3-hour open house and feel like you have seen the layout. You got to go back.
We're getting a lot of yes goes.
Yeah, right. And I keep telling people on the Facebook page, don't put it off, because it may not be around forever. So by all means, go while you can.
Do you know if George has any thoughts, or whether the town has there been any discussions, when George says, I'm selling the building, I don't want it anymore, not that I anticipate that would ever happen, but what this is it going to live on in Facebook, or is it going to live on in a museum?
Well, it's definitely going to live on in Facebook. As far as actually living on physically, that of course is up to George and Kathy. It has been discussed endlessly. There are no plans as of now. The way it was built would make it virtually impossible to be dismantled and moved. However, I have it on good authority that there is a museum curator who's going to be contacting George to at least make an attempt to talk about it, and we'll see. We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, folks, go. Yeah, there's the understatement of the night.
Yeah, definitely go. Don't wait. You'll regret it.
Yeah, well, and that was my feeling. I didn't see it when I went to Springfield last year, and I wasn't going to make that same mistake twice. And it sounds to me like you and I might get to share a glass, or not share. We'll each get our own glass of something.
That would be great. That would be wonderful.
It really would be. And speaking of wonderful, thank you for tonight. Thank you for being an inspiration. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for introducing me to George and really sort of brokering this crazy idea of making George available as a mini print minifigure. I showed a few of your posts here, which you've put on the page. So thank you for that. People are actually going to miniprints.com and they are adding their own little George to their layout. So he not only will be represented on his own layout, but I think that there will be many modelers that are enjoying adding a little George Celios to their own layout.
Oh yeah, and as you know, I've ordered another batch, and I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 layouts around the country that will have Georges in place by summer.
Fantastic. And he'll be looking at everybody's scenery.
You know, one of the places I hope he puts it, he said he put one by the lighthouse, but real close to the lighthouse there in Franklin, or in Rocky Harbor, I guess it is a Fine Scale Miniatures headquarters. It's a stone building. And I suggested to him that that's the place to put one. So we'll have to see in April if he followed through on that.
Well, you could also bring some and just, squirrel them around.
That's an idea. Yes, I've got a whole tray full of mini prints I'm painting up so that I can take a batch in April.
Now, maybe it shouldn't be that we find where George put himself on the layout. Maybe it should be George finds where you put him on the layout.
There you go. Yeah. Somebody on the Facebook page, or maybe it was your page, Mini Prints page. There's going to be a new game. It's no longer going to be Where's Waldo. It's going to be Where's George on people's layouts.
I saw that. Yeah, that's great.
So then I got to thinking maybe I should paint him in a red and white striped sweater.
Oh, could you imagine?
Put a stocking cap on him.
Well, that's right up his sense of humor, isn't it?
Yes, he would appreciate it.
There's a lot of humor on this layout, and that's another reason to go back and look very, very carefully. All right, well, everyone here has their marching orders, their homework. Everyone has to get to the layout, and if you can't get to the layout, or if you're not going to get to the layout until April or October, and you need a little Franklin and South Manchester fix, by all means, go check out the Facebook group.
Yes, and if people would like what I think are the best videos of the layout, there's a 2-part video on YouTube by New Haven Rails, and it covers the entire layout up until about the time it was. I think the town of Goree wasn't quite finished yet, but that's the video that I go to when I cannot place a picture. But it's great. New Haven Rails.
And I also enjoyed listening to, because as far as I know, George does not do a lot of these social media type appearances. So I very much enjoyed the Wiley's Bench Time 97, I think it was.
Yeah, you can find it on, you can still find it.
Yeah, and that was really nice to listen to. And those guys are like you, they build craftsman kits. So they really talked a lot about, like, what do you do with your roofs? How thick do you make your walls? I mean, it was very technical.
Yeah, it's a great interview. Highly recommended.
All right. See you in April.
That's going to be great.
Thank you so much for tonight. I usually go through slides talking about other things, but I'm just going to end it right here because we've had a great broadcast. I'm going to say thank you so much. Oh, Human City, Heath has just put up the link, the recommended New Haven Rails. So I'll just post that. I don't know how to put a link on that people can click, but
if they click on, it's also featured on our Facebook page.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. The last comment of the night goes to Dan. Peabody or bust, everyone.
Yes, Dan is a regular. He's one of the guys that when we meet up in Peabody, Peabody, he's one of them.
Peabody. See you in April, everyone.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Bernard.
Next broadcast is April 1st Wednesday of the month, April 4th. So I go live first Wednesday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern. See you next month. and we'll be talking all about the road trip to Peabody or Boston. Good night, all.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. And now I just have to click end.